Okay.
Hi, I'm Bob Hatcher, Executive Director for Prime Plus Senior Centers, and this is Prime Time with Bob. And I'm with a fairly new friend. In fact, most of the time I've spent doing this side by side in a meeting or a huge gallery of during Zoom meetings called Norfolk Rotary. And Jim Kitz, you're fairly new as the president.
Yes, I am. I became president of the Rotary Club of Norfolk on July 9th was the date that the new board and officers took over.
Okay. Now, in full disclosure, I joined Norfolk Rotary, was invited and joined, and I want to talk about that later on.
Okay.
And was inducted, I believe it was like March 11th or something like that.
I believe so.
Yeah, and then the world came to an end. I'm not sure if it's because I joined Rotary or I was scheduled to be the guest speaker the next week.
That's right. You joined, and the next week you were the speaker. I remember that.
Yeah, but it never happened.
Yeah.
However, Rotary has been going on, which I think shows what Rotary's about.
Yes. Yes. One of the things that we did, we probably had a couple of weeks where we were trying to assess, how long is this going to last? Do we start making other plans for either a different venue, or do we figure out how to do something using video conferencing? And so we've gone the video conferencing route, and just as we used to, we still now hold 3 meetings a month. They're all done through video conferencing. We've actually had a number of volunteers within Rotary who have done a fabulous job of helping some of our members who have some, technology difficulty, and we all have them, but some a little more than others. But we have a group of volunteers who have done a wonderful job at helping others get into the meetings, and it's been wonderful seeing the engagement from our members, and quite frankly, we're doing as much as we can to be engaged in the community also.
Well, I don't want to get fined, so we won't mention any names. So, you see a guy and it's got Lucy on the name.
Yes.
He's hiding under his wife's alias. Or the one that slept through half the presentation the other day was kind of fun. So, yeah. But
I eventually figured out that I can turn off his video. And I thought that was fair to turn off his video.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, at least he was muted.
Yeah.
But because of that, you were able to work, the speakers from Philippines.
Yes.
From South Africa. So the opportunity that's been brought to Rotary is just awesome because of our new way of doing things.
Yes. So, the bad news is we're not getting together and meeting personally. And I think that is certainly what everyone was looking forward to, what everyone still wants, and hopefully we'll get back to that as soon as possible. The opportunity, like you said, is that, in the past 2 months, we've had a speaker from the Philippines, we've had a speaker from South Africa, and we had a comedian from Florida. So, it opens up the number of people who can come visit us and speak to us. The other thing that I'm seeing nationally in Rotary is that clubs are now sort of sharing who their speakers are, because almost everyone is virtual now. Everyone's using video conferencing. We had a guest the other day who asked about our speakers and actually joined us from California. And we're going to do the same. And we're going to share speaker lists and see if someone is willing to do, more than one Rotary meeting.
Well, Jim, we kind of chuckle about the challenge of technology with some of the members of Rotary, but we're finding this at Prime Plus, where we've got a 52-year history of bringing people together under one roof and really building community.
Right. And
some of those people, that laptop their grandson gave them is holds down the magazines, or it's a coffee, it's a coffee tray. And getting people introduced to technology. So watching those volunteers coach and counsel has been a role model for us, because a lot of our programs went virtual. which is great, but if
Mhm.
nobody knows how to use it. So that challenge of getting people introduced, and uh, the medical calls, where now you've got people that are giving up their appointments because they have to do it either on the phone or doing it this way. On the other hand, really introduces healthcare to people who didn't have access to healthcare before that because they
Oh,
couldn't
oh,
get out.
absolutely. And
So it's
it
really exciting.
probably, in the long run, it probably will help, if not drive costs down, lower the pace of increase.
Yeah. Going back to Rotary, which came first, the city of Norfolk or Rotary?
Um,
When you look at the history of Norfolk,
that's
it's
true.
Rotarians that were there.
That is true. Well, the Rotary Club of Norfolk goes back to, I believe, 1913.
Yeah,
We were one of the first 50 clubs created in the United States, and we really do have a long history.
yeah. Some would say you've been here forever.
Some will say we've been here forever, and we kid some of our members about being founding members, even though that's
So, what's the secret? Because so many service clubs no longer exist.
So I think the secret is there needs to be a concerted effort, to revitalize, to bring in new concepts, to bring in new and younger members. So I think, and if you bring in those younger members, you have to be willing to listen to them. And believe it or not, I'm probably, I wouldn't consider myself a younger member right now, but I'm below the midpoint. But what I appreciated is that
I won't comment on that.
okay. What I appreciated is that people were willing to listen. People were willing to let you have responsibility and run with some ideas, good, bad, or indifferent. And we try to keep that going. One of the things that was impressed upon me early is that, yes, Rotary, there's a social aspect to it. And yes, there is a learning about the community aspect to it. But at its heart, we're a service club, and we want to help the communities that we live in and work in. I don't know if you're aware of it. I work in Norfolk. I actually live in Smithfield, Virginia.
Do you really?
I do. So I chose the Rotary Club of Norfolk because it was a very convenient Rotary Club for me to become a member of and easy to go to since I worked in downtown Norfolk.
Now, I've spent my entire life in service.
Okay.
With the Red Cross and then with the city of Norfolk and now with Prime Plus. And so often service clubs, Rotary being one of them, would say, you ought to join, you ought to join. And it was like, I don't have any more ounce in my body. Plus, service clubs quite often were a distraction from what I was trying to accomplish with my family.
Okay.
And what I love about Rotary, when you talk to Rotary members, it is a family operation. Yeah, my wife can be included in providing some of that service. There's a celebration every meeting of wedding anniversaries, and
Yes.
some of that tradition is there. So it's not a distraction, but it can be really part of the DNA of your life.
Oh, and it's not unusual to see family members join us on service projects. Mm-hmm. Some of them are easier than others to have family members, but I've seen spouses, I've seen children, I've seen grandchildren come to some of the different service projects. And I think that helps propagate the legacy of Rotary. And quite frankly, especially if you're talking about children or grandchildren, it's imparting some of what we as Rotarians think is important.
Well, I know of one that has been in Rotary for like 40 years. I think he's in his mid 50s, maybe. He might be older than that. And his father had been a Rotarian for 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
So as a kid, he kind of grew up in it. In a Rotary, okay, so it's not just an independent club. It's part of an association.
Yeah, we're part of Rotary International. So Rotary International is now an international organization. There are approximately, There's upwards of 1.5 million Rotarians in the world. There's well over 3,000 clubs throughout the world, and with something that big, there is a little bit of a hierarchy in structure. So within the city of Norfolk, there are 2 Rotary clubs. There's our club, the Rotary Club of Norfolk, and there's Norfolk Rotary Club Sunrise. As you can tell by their name, they like to meet at breakfast. We generally like to meet at lunch. And quite frankly, that's how they got their start. They were originally part of us. And there was a group that really thought it would be better for them to meet at breakfast. So they started off as a satellite of us and then created their own club. And quite frankly, that's how most clubs get started. Mm-hmm. They end up spinning off from sort of a parent club. But we belong to District 7600, which is sort of our district. It's sort of southeastern Virginia. And there's right around 60, maybe 65 clubs within that district. And it works its way up to Rotary International, which is headquartered in Chicago, but has had leadership from all over the globe.
Yeah, and Jim, I probably shouldn't mention this, but I think within the next maybe 10 years, you could be in position for that, right?
I'll get back to you.
But for those that are sitting here during COVID, and some might be saying, why are we having this conversation? It's two Rotarians talking to each other. But the impact that an individual can have, not only on your own community, but within the world through becoming engaged with Rotary Club is unbelievable.
It truly is.
It's the master of the butterfly effect. I mean, the one thing that this club can do, cleaning up a park, can also have a ripple effect in bringing that harmony to the community that we're so desperately looking for, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll give you a perfect example of that. One of the things that we do is we have an annual grant giving campaign where different organizations apply, and we choose who is going to be grant recipients for the year. And we had a request a little over a year ago from the William Hunton YMCA. And what they were asking for were basically a grant to buy new sort of daycare beds that some of their children could take a nap on. And the ones they had were worn out and they just wanted some new ones. Well, we had some Rotarians go and actually, deliver the check and sort of create a photo op. And they were so taken back by the dedication of the staff there, what they saw going on, that ended up becoming a major project of ours, where we ended up basically facilitating a kitchen makeover, where they now have adequate freezer and refrigeration space, so they don't have to go shopping every day. They can now do that on a routine basis. We upgraded a lot of their equipment to bring them up to standard. We created a reading library for their kids. And the one of our sadnesses in this time of COVID is that we have not been able to go there and start a reading program. But we're working on a way to maybe do that with video conferencing. But that's the butterfly. That's the small thing that started that became something much bigger.
Yeah. Jim, I want to thank you for harnessing that butterfly and making it work. It's an exciting time.
Yes, it
Thanks
is.
to Norfolk
Yes,
Rotary.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks for the time, Bob. And we love what you guys do at Prime Plus, and look forward to what the future brings us.
Thanks a lot. Hey, keep in mind, stay safe and stay connected. Thanks a lot. See you later.